You're watching Capital Connection from the Illinois State Capitol.
During his State of the State address, Governor Pritzker made a commitment to nuclear energy. Listen to what he said on Wednesday this week.
The to-do list is long, but it includes key priorities like finally authorizing the overdue second cannabis licensing lottery and passing an energy bill that protects our nuclear fleet and builds up our wind and solar industries.
Chair of the Senate Energy and Public Utilities Committee joins us now, Democratic State Senator Mike Hastings from Tinley Park. Good to have you with us.
Mark, it's always great to be on your show.
Your committee will take a look at the Clean Energy Jobs Act, I presume, this big piece of legislation that comes through. In fact, you just got done visiting a nuclear power plant in Clinton run by Exelon. The bailout money, or the state portion of money that went to Exelon and other companies like it to keep nuclear power plants like the one in Clinton open in 2016, that money was provided because there was a threat that those jobs might go away, that the nuclear plants might close down, and yet that very same money at the crux of the deferred prosecution agreement that federal prosecutors struck with ComEd. So which is it? Is it a corrupt deal, or does it save jobs? And how does the state deliver? Can you deliver that again to nuclear power plants?
Mark, I look at things this way. This is an investment in our clean energy future for the state of Illinois. We have 2 plants right now that Exelon has announced to close, and then 2 to follow that. The economic impact on our state of Illinois, especially coming off a pandemic, is in the billions of dollars, more along the lines of $5 to $6 billion and tens of thousands of jobs. And as of right now, I think the General Assembly needs to make sure that working class families can get back to work and have a job in the community, and that places aren't shutting down coming off this pandemic. So we do got to hold people accountable. So, and that's something that we're looking at in the General Assembly, and we're having an auditor come in to look at the books for Exelon to determine whether or not they're making any extra money that they shouldn't be making. So that's one thing we're very cognizant of.
Well, that was my next question. They're crying poor, saying they're going to have to close some of these plants, but in the past that's been viewed as a negotiation strategy to get more state funding, basically, taxpayer funding to help prop them up or keep them open longer. How do you view that? Are they efficient? How imminent would their closure be if the state didn't provide new funding?
Well, I don't know if they're crying poor. I think these are a bunch of market factors that are taking place within the PJM market space. The one difference in Illinois than it is across the rest of the country is that we operate in 2 energy markets, PJM and MISO, and the price of energy is different in each market. And these nuclear plants provide energy to 2 separate markets. So it's important to look at things from a global perspective. So one of the things we're doing is we're determining whether or not, what is the base break-even point that these plants can operate at in the current market space. We have a new president of the United States, and he's about to start appointing new members of the FERC, which is a commission that oversees energy as a whole. So I think energy transformation and energy investment is something that's going to be taking place on the federal level, and we also have to look at it at the state level. These nuclear plants, they power, the one in Byron, Illinois powers 2.3 million homes. The one in Clinton powers 1.3 million homes. You're going to have to build thousands and thousands of wind farms and countless acres of precious farmland and solar fields in order to replace one of these plants. We need to have a broad portfolio that is able to power Illinois, and that's what we're focused on.
Some of your Democratic colleagues are calling for complete renewable energy, not just clean energy, nuclear is clean energy, but complete just wind, solar, renewable, perhaps water-fueled power by 2050. Do you agree with that?
Look, I think that's a very great goal to have, but I'll say this. You look at Texas right now, this past week in Texas with the snowstorms going on, they touted that they had one of the best energy systems, best transmission line systems, and they got rolling blackouts. I'll just tell you, if we do not have a broad portfolio of energy resources and the base load is provided by nuclear energy, which is the cleanest form of energy that we have in the state, we're going to have some problems. Now, it's always good to have a diversified portfolio that has solar and wind that can operate when weather isn't that extreme. But if you have solely one form of energy, it's been proven across the entire world, you're going to have problems. That's why it's important to take a pragmatic approach, and we study the industry, study what works, and provide it to Illinois. Illinois is a leader in energy generation, and we're going to continue to be a leader in energy generation to come.
In the past, it was often viewed as, well, if these nuclear power plants are going to close, maybe the state can help send some money over there to prevent that from happening. Is there a different option? You mentioned the auditor that's coming in. Is there some option where the state comes in and takes over a part of that utility?
No, we have a couple different options that we're looking at right now. One of them is called a fixed resource requirement, and that's where it allows for Illinois Power Agency to procure clean and renewable energy resources in our state of Illinois. We should purchase energy that's produced in Illinois for Illinois. That's one of the options we're looking at. There's a myriad of different options that we have in this energy legislation, and throughout the next year we're going to vet out every issue, and we're going to make sure that whatever decision we make, it saves those plants as Governor Pritzker had stated in his State of the State and State of the Budget address, and that we preserve the jobs and the economic benefits that these plants have to offer in our state.
I think that in the governor's first budget in 2019, you supported the Blue Collar Jobs Act. There was also the data center tax incentive, basically tax breaks for big companies to come build data centers or build warehouses here in Illinois. Governor Pritzker is now saying 932 million tax breaks are going to have to go away to help balance the budget. Which is it? Do tax breaks help to grow jobs, or can the state not afford those right now?
You know, the governor proposed a whole lot of proposals, and that's completely his job to propose ways to balance a budget. But any tax break that we give to a corporation also has to be followed by how is this going to benefit the working class person across the state of Illinois. You know, providing services to them, especially those that have been on unemployment, those that have lost their job. Those are things that we really should be focusing on, in addition to figuring out a way to make sure that we're able to balance the budget in the state. But I've said this time and time before on this show, Mark, and I think you know this by now, Illinois has to tighten its belt strap a little bit more and figure out a way where we can spend money in the most effective ways to help people in Illinois. That's the goal, and I know the governor has the best interest of the state at heart, but I will say this, my neighbors are unemployed just like your neighbors are, and it's my job to make sure that we give them an environment in which they can get a job, earn a paycheck, and take care of their family. That's what's important to me.
We're hearing from business groups who say that one of the best ways they can help to make sure those people get off the unemployment line and back to work collecting a check is not to take away those tax breaks they say are vital to their ability to grow those jobs and keep hiring people. What do you say? Can you support a budget that would wipe out $900 million or more in tax breaks?
I'll say the devil's in the details, Mark. Anyone can make a broad stroke with a paintbrush and say it's going to save $1 billion, but I think every detail has to be investigated and determine whether or not that amount of money that's going to be saved is saved. But the most important thing that has to be looked at is, how am I going to help my neighbor? How am I going to help the working class folk across Illinois? And that's what I'm focused on, because that's who I represent. 218,000 people. I live in a union district. I'm really proud of that. And we really look after our folks and make sure they're able to keep their job.
We're going to stay tuned to that Energy and Public Utility Committee as this starts to unfold, the debate over energy policy, of course, the budget as well. Before we let you go, in 2018, for a minute there, you expressed interest in running for Secretary of State. Secretary of State Jesse White will not be running for re-election in 2022. What are your plans? I'm
still interested in the office, Mark, and we're exploring that option as well. But I'll say this, first and foremost, we take care of our folks at home. Running for another office isn't important if my neighbor doesn't have a job. And that's the one thing I'm going to do, is we're going to focus on rebuilding Illinois, whether that's in terms of a capital bill, saving nuclear power plants, and then we can address all those other issues later. But my primary focus is, how do we get ourselves out of this pandemic? How do we keep people safe? How do we keep them healthy? And we got to put people back to work.
On that capital bill, I have to follow up real quickly, because the governor's budget also steers a portion of the gas sales tax. This is not the motor fuel tax that goes into the lockbox, but the sales tax you pay at the pump. That money was supposed to go to transportation projects slowly over time, and Governor Pritzker is saying, okay, we'll do that later. We're going to claw some of that money back to help fill our budget holes and put it in the general revenue fund. Does that hamstring the state's efforts to continue with construction projects or transportation projects?
That's why we call what the governor said the other day as proposals. They're not the final verdict on what's going to happen with the money. The General Assembly has to vote on the budget and pass a budget, and I know the governor's office always looks forward to meeting with the General Assembly to negotiate a budget that'll benefit the state of Illinois.
Do I read you right that you would oppose an idea like that?
I'm sorry, I can't. Say that one more time, Mark.
Are you suggesting that you would oppose an idea like that?
No, I'm saying that I'm all ears. I want to hear every option it could to help out our state. That's what I'm here for, is to make sure that our state's able to operate and help people.
All ears for now. A decision to come by May 31st, I think. Senator Hastings, thanks for joining us.
Mark, God bless you. I hope your family is healthy and happy.
course, and the same to you. We're back in just a moment with Senator Doris Turner. Stick around.